Welcome back to Persona 5 Royal, and here we are in one of my favorite sets of costumes in this game, the Shadow Operatives from Persona 4 Arena. I particularly like Futaba's one, even though you don't really get to see it much in battle, with that Cyclops visor. I just think that's so cool, but yeah, everyone here is in these outfits that actually don't really look much like what the Shadow Operatives even wore in Persona 4 Arena, but still.
Well then.
We're going to be starting partway in because we still have some targets to take down on the path of, not Kaitul, of Exariath, one of which being the Cheetah. I still can't believe that's what I used to think Vegeta's name was in Dragon Ball. Because, like, as a 10-year-old, cheating was, like, one of the worst crimes imaginable, so I thought that was I thought that would be a fitting name for a villain in a show.
Then, this is what
I remember him being fairly early in this place, although he might have been even earlier than this. Is this him, or is it not?
Then...
Yes, this definitely isn't him, then.
Yeah.
So in that case, I'm still going to bring a Ketchy, but I think I might... In fact, I am going to stick with this party, because this guy's weak to electricity. Well, I mean, he looks very, very generic here, and I'm sure that's exactly how he intended it. He wants his face to be so generic it matches everything on the database. Yes, another one of these people who completely missed the point of the Phantom Thieves.
How stupid.
You know, it's kind of funny that you should say that, because that ties into the Mementos topic that I wanted to talk about for this part. It involves how I headcanon Joker when it comes to which of his identities is the real mask, though you probably already know how I view that, since I've alluded to it a few times by now.
The opponent is strong. Don't do anything.
So yeah, of course this guy turns into Legion. Actually, Morgana does look kind of cool in this outfit. And he seems to be one of those who takes a lot of damage, who has a lot of health but not a whole lot of defense, because Lucky Punch doing over 250 damage seems pretty high. Now, I'm sure I have some elect skills on something. I keep switching around my skills a lot. Looks like I might not. In fact, I forgot that I had a, yeah, again, I take breaks between recording these, so yeah, I probably would have done more damage by switching out and doing this, but, I suppose I can try out my intense focus boosted skills. I'll go for Garudine because it's cheaper. I had a feeling you'd resist that. Well, I mean, at least you're kind of giving up your turn. Also, Ryuji just said for real there. I'm surprised, I might have missed some, but I'm very surprised that I haven't actually got Ryuji saying for real in a battle so far.
Nothing but trash.
I had a feeling he'd say something like that. Curse you, SMT Wiki, you steered me wrong again! Why does this keep happening? I mean, the Wiki's usually, you know, right about a lot of things. It has a lot of the weaknesses right. I don't know why it doesn't have the weakness for this guy right. And, yeah, a few of the other issues with the Wiki in terms of Sire's Palace were more to do with, I'm gonna try this. More to do with them accidentally listing, like, the regular enemy stats. Thank you, Futaba, for making him waste his turn again. For certain shadows rather than their boss stats, or vice versa.
Persona! Scram!
Fired up. It's time for the grand finale.
We still haven't seen Haru and Makoto's showtime, but it'll probably happen eventually.
Monotone, what's wrong? Hardcore.
Yes, cat abuse, so hardcore. And I often forget to use my down shot, so I'll do it here. You know, I will say, this is probably one of the very, very few costumes in this game that I would say still looks cool on Joker even without the coat. Normally his animations look really dumb without the coat on, but in this case, like, just not having that coat, like, you get to... It sounds kind of weird, but like the sort of lean physique that he has, it kind of accentuates the jumping around and shooting the gun with that animation. Yeah, let's just say that he's realized it. Let's not say prepare to die. Yes, in the end, I was hypocrite. And this guy gives a skill card that's incredibly good in Royal, not so much in the base game though, but in Royal it's far better due to the existence of traits that let you use Thermopylae in more situations than usual. Amazing. Yeah, you previously had to get ambush in order to use Thermopylae, making it pretty lackluster as a skill. Okay, so he was one past the safe room, not one past the entrance to this area. Because I'm always positive this is the cheating gamer. And this is kind of why I brought Ryuji, because I wanted him to be in the party for this. He's kind of the closest thing to a elite pro gamer we have in our party outside of Futaba, but she's always in the party. And instead of Morgana, I'm going to say maybe Arn. Let's bring Arn to this.
Then...
Yeah, this guy looks more like a sad middle-aged man with no life. This is definitely the cheater. Is that right? Well, have you heard of a player called The King? You know, in some games, infinite combos aren't actually cheating. Sometimes they're intentionally put into the game, sometimes they're an accidental glitch, but in either case they usually are just exploiting mechanics and not involving things like hacking devices.
Hey, you guys again? It's useless no matter how many times you come!
A gamer taught you the moves to take him down, right? Teach that stupid cheater a lesson.
So this is actually supposed to be the downshot tutorial, but I've already used it a lot at this point. One spoonful, yeah, well, as you can see, the game expects you to do this shortly after, getting this, but I've done so much of Shinya's Confidant that I can do it 3 times now.
Guns out! Blast them on their feet!
In fact, I'm pretty sure that you always have access to downshot in this fight.
That's impossible! There's no way this could happen!
Delay, not my fault!
A gunshot that surpasses my cheeks? That can't be true! Damn it! I'm the strongest! I'm supposed to be king! Me!
Well, just like Kamoshida, you've been knocked off of your throne. And yeah, you instantly win if you use downshot. So, like, yeah, I feel like if you use up all of your downshots before that fight, you must get them back, otherwise there's no way you can win, so maybe it's beneficial to use all of them and then go into this fight. I'm gonna have to reload a save and test that, because that sounds interesting. Well, admittedly, this is a very real issue that happens in a lot of workplaces. But I'm not really sure what that has to do with taking out your frustrations on just, you know, random players online who had nothing to do with you getting laid off. And null Fizz skill card. Yeah, I'm definitely getting Yusuke to duplicate that one, and Thermopylae. A lot of the skill cards you get out of Mementos requests are very, very good. Now, we have one more target here, but I'm going to go back to the entrance because it's the target at the very end of this area. I know that because that's how Mementos just, you know, works. These targets that you get, like, after each palace arc is over, they always show up at the end of an area. But this one is particularly significant. Because as I've said, this guy's had a recurring subplot since pretty much the very start of the game.
Yes.
I think I'll go with Makoto and Ryuji for this one. Yeah, we know this guy. He's one of the very few to have a unique model in the overworld. So this guy does bring up a point that a lot of people do have about the Phantom Thieves, and it's gonna be the subject of my Mementos topic of the day after this fight. To this guy, yeah, we're doing pretty much the same thing he is, and brainwashing from a certain point of view is no different than killing. Turns into Rakshasa, though, which is a pretty early game shadow. But here's the interesting thing, though. I'm gonna kill off Daytime Me, too. So remember how when we talked to him in the daytime, he said that he was forgetting who he was? It's implied that Kiritani has dissociative identity disorder, and the killer version of him only comes out at night, and wants to eliminate his other personality. So that he can be like this all the time. So, in a certain sense, this guy is also kind of trying to murder someone who's innocent.
Empty the mind.
Persona! Come on, take your best shot.
But that one's not quite as interesting as the other. Now, since this guy I think has no weaknesses, I'm going to try and shock him, but I don't know if I'll really be able to pull that off. I could attempt a freeze with Joker here. And there we go, we got it! Okay, Makoto does have technical with this, though. There we go, nice. I wonder if this will finish it. Yeah, freeze doesn't just benefit physical attacks, it's still a physical ailment, so nuclear will get technical off of it. Right then, let's just... well, when in doubt, there's no way they can resist this, unless it's Persona 4, where a whole bunch of things resist Almighty for some reason. No shock, which means that I can just do this. Or miss entirely. Or he could just do that when he's on really low health and he just threw away the fight. Okay then. Also, I was really hoping that would be Haru's.
It's showtime.
Time to get a little crazy.
Stay focused.
Haven't really shown the full animation for this in a while.
Go for it!
Okay, we still get the aura here, because this isn't the full-on boss override, since this still acts like a normal shadow. As in, you know, that thing's appeared as a normal shadow before. It's kind of a shame that I kind of wish the showtimes cut straight to the victory screen. That's also a lot of money. Also, we get we get the victory theme for these costumes. Haven't drawn attention to that before. I also need to get into a regular fight with these to show what the battle theme is. Also, it says Shadow Worker on the armbands, not Shadow Operative. That must have been their name in Japanese. So yeah, from his point of view, he's doing the same thing that we are. Getting rid of evil in the world. And here's the thing, I feel like the Phantom Thieves don't really have much of a counter-argument to this guy, other than, oh yeah, unlike you, we don't murder people. But there's also this. This is actually something that I feel, this isn't the dark side of the change of heart I was alluding to in the last video, that's actually something else. This right here is something that I do feel the game glosses over a little bit. Because the killer part of Kiritani is an alternate personality, if we give him a change of hearts, that kind of counts as murdering somebody, because if we give him a change of heart, this personality is going to disappear, and that's technically its own person. So yeah, it's a little awkward, honestly. But the reason why I drew attention to this request is not just for its slightly more elaborate story than the others, but it's also because of that high counter skill card. That is the main way that people fulfill the final request for the twins. By just using that on Seth. I mentioned that last time. But now we can move on. Sorry for that cut, I was just getting my notes for the next area of Mementos, because now we are in the path of Adyeshach, and I probably butchered the pronunciation there. Doesn't really look all that different from the previous area. Oh boy, bigger. Yeah, there are 30 stamps here, was less than I was afraid of, but still, it's going to be a lot of backtracking to get all of those. The enemies here are from Okumura's palace, which means that I can use this place to farm for the remaining items I need for the permapick. I might be able to get that after this Mementos visit, actually. And yeah, now I do need to care about exploring floors and getting all of these stamps. I do feel like this area looks a bit too similar to the previous one. But yes, this comes from the Hebrew word Adyeshach, meaning apathy, and it's an inversion of perseverance. In Japanese, it's sense-robbing path, aka senselessness. So you could say that maybe this area represents sloth. The deadly sin of sloth, I think in its original form, was meant more like apathy. In fact, it originally meant like despair, but more in the sense of like just wallowing in misery rather than actively trying to change your situation.
Wow. You sure we can drive here? I've gotten used to it, but it is pretty unbelievable that we can drive on this, huh?
Yeah, these bones would make for a pretty bumpy ride. In fact, actually, speaking of which, I will get back to my topic about the Phantom Thieves and, you know, morality in a moment. But speaking of which, so that whole sequence where we were chasing Morgana and Morgana crashed, so it is a plot point from the very start of Mementos that Morgana can't drive himself. The only one with him at the time was Haru, so by process of elimination, Haru had to be the one driving then. Now, when it comes to spin-off games of Persona 5 and Royal, you might want to remember that Haru was the one driving when Morgana crashed, because it may or may not be a plot point later. Or should I say it may or may not be foreshadowing. So yeah, the thing with Kiritani and the Phantom Thieves and the whole, you know, what as TV tropes would call it, heel-face brainwashing thing about the change of heart. So it's an aspect of this game that I haven't really dwelled on very much, and that's because I don't personally like to dwell on it, because the game doesn't really dwell on it. Like, to me, they easily could have tried to make this a very morally grey, dark story.
He's a cat, right? I'm jealous. I wish I could be a cat right now.
Okay, I'm so sorry, but for some reason, the first thought my mind went to there is like, there's gonna be Catgirl Makoto fan art after that, isn't there? But yeah, the game is really very much, despite the fact that the Phantom Thieves are like, you know, dark anti-heroes on the wrong side of the law, it is still very much a black and white morality story. Like, we are very much noble thieves going up against clearly evil people and basically helping take down people who've been above the law for a long time.
I suppose I have a new hobby.
Nobody's draining my blood.
And now there's going to be Vampire Yusuke fan art. I love it when red shadows become green and they're vulnerable to insta-kills. Well, looks like Ryuji's stealing Akechi's thunder right now. And it's surprising how little the whole change of heart thing bothers me, when normally I do get bothered by stories that treat an issue as black and white when it kind of isn't. Oh, Crimson Flower. So, I think to me, part of the reason why is that Ryuji is still very worried about potentially killing Kamoshida, and is very against the idea of going full-on vigilante execution on him. And also that I feel like the methodology, I think, of the Phantom Thieves is more just kind of a fun... Well, okay, it's two things. To me, and this is... Let me just say, one, this is completely unscripted, and it's just kind of me just getting out some of my thoughts in a bit of a rambling, unscripted fashion, which, you know, can be fun sometimes. But I feel like the change of heart mainly exists as both wish fulfillment.
Is anyone else thirsty? Would you like something to drink?
You seem like the kind of guy who always drinks mineral water.
I can't drink mineral water because it feels like someone shoved a razor blade in my throat. Anything fizzy is awful to me. I've already mentioned that. Yeah. Sorry I keep getting interrupted by Mementos skits, but some of them are pretty good and I still want to show those. But yeah, it's sort of wish fulfillment in the sense that it means that, like, there are a lot of people in society who get away with crimes on the level of the powerless targets all the time, and the change of heart gives, like, the public objective proof of their crimes and allows them to be, like, judged by legal means, since they'll just confess and... Yeah, so they'll basically have like a completely ironclad evidence of their guilt, and the public completely knows their guilt, and they can go to jail for it, again, like many people get away with in real life. Like these people! Yes, these people! Also Makoto, yeah, because you live in Persona 5, and that's kind of a thing here. Generally, most parents are either dead or abusive in this universe. You know, like Sojiro.
I'll join.
Okay, apparently these two are weak to ice and fire, so I actually need Arn and Yusuke for this, even though they're not really the two that I'd bring. But also, here, I'm actually going to be doing something I haven't done before. I'm going to use the LeBlanc Charm on Joker. Because the strategy that these two use is to put you to sleep and then hit you with technical damage. No sleep means no potential technical hits on Joker.
Why?
No, it's because you're just constantly gambling and that's how they get you.
Excuse me?
Yeah, again, if she's anything like Futaba's age, then that's probably illegal. And speaking of this being super illegal, guess what these two turn into? Yep, if there was any, vagueness about what they were forcing their child to do before, there's not anymore.
You got a problem?
I feel like a lot of the portraits haven't been moving their mouths much lately. But these two, so when I was making notes on this game, originally, before I lost them, I gave nicknames to all of the Mementos bosses, and my nickname for these two is the Pervo Parents. Shadow Mr. Miragio and Shadow Mrs. Miragio.
I'm not done.
So apparently Incubus is weak to fire and Succubus is weak to ice. But again, this is assuming that the SMT wiki isn't wrong, which it easily could be. Well, I can test right now, in fact.
You're mine.
Knocked him right off their feet. Nice, Joker.
Up to you. This is mine.
On to the next.
Persona!
Okay, well, I have to hit the Incubus here, so I hope it doesn't repel ice.
You got him, Fox.
Okay, did not, and, Okay, I'm gonna try. I can't go... Oh, I thought I could go back to Joker. Well, at least this is gonna hit really hard given her Fire Ant accessory. Okay, one of them's down, which is gonna hopefully reduce the impact of things, because yeah, she's the one who puts you to sleep. Very glad that I had that accessory on Joker, by the way. So thank you so much for the free SP, because you are pretty much useless on your own. She's reliant on her husband Incubus to use one-shot kill on anybody who's knocked down. So let's give her a taste of her own medicine. That fight can actually be a bad thing if you let it get out of hand with their technical combo.
The personas gain new power.
Okay, well now he no longer has to hit everything at once. And high counter next. Not the greatest skill in the world, but at least I still like keeping them on Yusuke because it's effectively a 20% extra evasion against physical attacks. We were in a mountain of death. We had no choice but to make our daughter do illegal stuff. Yeah, I kind of feel like if these two confess, they're probably going to go to jail, so I wonder who would take care of Kana in that case. Yeah. It's good that we were able to save her from this. Growth 3. Another skill card that's good to have Yusuke duplicate. And yep, there we go. We've now unblocked the one party member confidant that requires a Mementos request.
Hey!
Still only one more target left in this area. Oh, and I know who it is too. It's Super Mega Hyper Giga Karen. I feel like she's not actually hugely far into this area either, though I could be wrong about that. Well, yep, I was immediately proven wrong. Much deeper than where we are now. Yeah, this is quite a big area of Mementos. We've already got the stamp, so let's keep heading down to a lower area. Then I can go back to what I was talking about. So yeah, the change of heart, in addition to like wish fulfillment in seeing, you know, people being brought to justice, but without having to resort to sort of vigilante murder.
Joker?
Oh!
I think it's also partly just a fun, stylish mechanic that facilitates the gameplay. Like, it's like, how else can you have heist movies within someone's mind? I say that, and then I immediately realized Inception is that. And I kind of described the change of heart process, I think, earlier, unless I forgot to say this, as, like, reverse Inception. You're, like, taking a thought out of somebody instead of inserting a thought into someone. Which is what Inception is. Inception does not mean something within something else. I hate how people make that misconception all the time.
Another tool for our mission.
Yeah, there's that skill that I don't like. I seem to remember Deathbound being pretty good in Persona 3, but not really... I think it's probably an okay skill in this game, and I'm just overreacting, but I just always felt like I've never really liked Deathbound much in Persona 5. I guess it is kind of like, it's sort of the last physical... Oh, I cut off a Mementos conversation there, but it's sort of the last physical skill that Ryuji gets before he gets into his endgame phase, where he starts becoming very, very good. Okay. So I suppose, like, that's another reason I dislike it. It's sort of like the last remnants of Ryuji's mediocrity, I suppose, before he becomes really amazing. But yeah, like, that's the thing, like, it sort of exists to facilitate having dungeons inside the minds of these targets and giving you something to steal and just having that kind of, you know, flashy heist movie thing to it. Because of that, I don't really take the whole concept of the change of heart super seriously. Like, as well, I just feel like, in a sense, it's more just, like, magical whistleblowing than actually brainwashing.
Incredible.
But if I was to take it more seriously, sorry to kind of go back on my point and sound like a hypocrite there, I've said before that it feels to me more like somebody acknowledging their own mistakes and genuinely trying to change themselves. And that's my objection to what Kiritani was doing, and that's also my reasoning why I think the Phantom Thieves, you know, the whole reason why Okumura dying was a bad thing. It's because he died just as he was trying to make amends. It's just something that I personally think. Like, I'm very much for people acknowledging their failings, their mistakes, the ways they've hurt people, and not so much apologizing for it, but working to change themselves. And that's why I, you know, would be against an approach like Kiritani's, because when you kill somebody, you rob them of the ability to change. Like, without, you know, I'm gonna not go into this too much because it can get into very heavy territory, but you basically, you know, are taking away their ability to do anything by doing that. It's completely cutting off any hope of redemption or anything like that. So that's why, that would be my personal rebuttal to Kiritani. Because the Phantom Thieves themselves, I feel, don't really have as good of a rebuttal in the actual game, apart from, oh, but we don't kill people. And so, like, yeah, Kiritani definitely brings up that kind of issue that, yeah, some people could say that the change of heart is brainwashing, and yeah, I've seen a lot of arguments about the morality of the Phantom Thieves and what they do, but ultimately...
Offensive. We can do even more.
I suppose you already have an offense-minded attitude.
Overall, Akechi kind of sums things up. I do kind of, you know, prefer things when, you know, the Phantom Thieves not be fully going on the offensive and instead just focusing on, targets that, you know, exposing targets who would, you know, help people who are suffering, rather than doing it just for the sake of, you know, taking people down. But in general, if there's anything to take away from my very rambling tangent, this isn't like a professional video essay or anything, this is just me getting some disorganized thoughts out there, because it is something that I had to address eventually, and I thought now was a good time because of Kiritani. I always felt like Kiritani's mission was the one time in the plot that they really actually bring up ethical issues with what the Phantom Thieves are doing. I see an enemy indicator moving behind the wall. Unfortunately, it wasn't a stamp, so it was kind of all for nothing, except for a huge gold lump. Well, I don't really need that, because I'm already 1.5 millionaire. But yeah, the main thing is that and don't take this as me disparaging this game's story at all. I actually do really enjoy this story. But what Persona 5's story is to me, it is an above-average conspiracy thriller. Like, it's a very fun, like, I describe the story as fun. But, like, I personally, and again, like, don't take this as me disparaging the story, but I don't take it super seriously. I do think it does bring up some good issues, and the characters do have a lot of very great moments and a lot of very kind of realistic, relatable aspects of them.
Out of all of us, Queen's the most extreme in a fight.
Really? No, I'd actually say Haru's the most extreme in a fight by far. You'll definitely know that if you've seen some of Haru's Mementos skits. We haven't really got many of those so far. And don't worry, I am going to be showing playing cards with Haru, Akechi, and Futaba, because we haven't done that yet. And yeah, I can just head to the end of this floor. Or can I? I've got a treasure demon here, and it should be, yeah, it's this one. Thing that I've actually seen in real life. Oh, by the way, downshot works on treasure demons. Never really got to do this before, but it does. And it's a pretty good way of negotiating with them if you don't have their weaknesses. So yeah, like, as I've said, the main reason why I don't think it's more like I don't personally think too hard about the change of heart process, and that's because the game doesn't really draw attention to it that much either. Like as I said at the start, it's not really trying to be a super dark, morally grey story about, you know, monsters who fight worse monsters. And and that's the thing. Part of the reason why I actually enjoy Persona 5 so much is that it's still overall, despite having some very, very dark things happen in it, and despite being quite a bit more violent than Persona 3 and 4 were, like in terms of sort of visceral horror, it's ultimately a very optimistic and hopeful story. And that's just something that I feel I don't really see enough of in this day and age, especially when it comes to anti-authority stories. Like, in particular, I feel like way too many stories these days have been influenced by the whole kind of Game of Thrones thing, and I feel like that might be on its way out, given how badly Game of Thrones' finale was received. But it does feel like I think people are getting sick of, like, a lot of the kind of bleak, dark tones and things, and, like, there's a place for those kind of stories, and there are a lot of those stories that I do personally enjoy. Like, for example, I mean... yeah, I don't know if, like, Dimitri's Root in Three Houses fully counts, but I do quite like that one as far as the storylines in that game go. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any, like, kind of dark, morally grey story that I do kind of like. I was gonna say Tales of Exilia, but Tales of Exilia is not... I call that a light morally grey story. In that, like, there's not a lot of people who can be called, like, truly... like 100% good in that game, but pretty much nobody in that game is 100% evil either. And actually another case of it I feel is Xenoblade Chronicles 2, I think, is a surprisingly morally nuanced story, but also one that's ultimately quite optimistic and lighthearted in the end. It's just, those are the sort of stories that I personally like. I just don't enjoy the stories that are all like, you know, like, I get that, you know, there's a whole lot of corruption in the world, but I feel like you just get enough of that by reading the news, and I just, you know, call it naive escapism, but I would rather sort of see stories that are about, you know, heroes triumphing over...
Every night, I heard voices like this at Madarame's house.
Why don't we end this line of thought here, Fox?
Oh, okay, wow, Makoto's not good with ghosts. I think, actually, no, we already knew that from the Futaba arc, but, I mean, I suppose she's probably like a steel fighting type in Pokemon terms, so yeah, she probably wouldn't like ghosts. But yeah, I just feel like there's a place for light-hearted stories in media, and I'm often just at a place where I generally prefer more optimistic storylines. And even if the Phantom Thieves are kind of anti-heroes, they're still very much on the side of good. They still very much are motivated by helping people rather than violence, and the story generally advocates more for sort of, you know, for the most part, non-violent solutions to things. The thieves often stop themselves before they get into a situation where they'd become just as bad as their targets.
I can feel it.
It's part of why, in fact, hi there, model over... okay, well, that finally worked. But yeah, on a side note, it's actually why, as of recording this, hopefully the game doesn't turn out bad if you're watching this in the future when it's come out.
Speedier than ever. Hold on tight, everyone.
I hope my stomach can take this.
You barely eat. You wouldn't really be able to vomit much anyway. But yeah, it's why I'm really excited for Fire Emblem Engage, because it looks like it's going back to that standard heroic fantasy good versus evil thing, and I really, really need that right now after how bleak Three Houses was. So, yeah. And on that note, it's Karen time. Yeah, I guess helicopter parent or tiger parent would be the other term here. Well, I mean, unless they're Madarame, or your dad who was drunk all the time, or, you know, you get the idea, or, you know, or Kumara. I can put the Ring of Gluttony on Joker, I don't really need the LeBlanc beads anymore. So, if the SMT wiki isn't wrong again, she's weak to fire, so I'm keeping Arn, and I'm bringing Makoto because I will probably need Marakukaja in this fight. Oh wow, this actually ties in quite well with what I was talking about before. Yeah. still feel like, again, like, I just want hopeful stories that say that you don't have to become a monster to fight back against the injustices of the world. But yeah, she's not taking that advice. She's going, yeah, I have to smash them before they can smash me. Do like that dialogue option, though. Well, I mean, we're seeing your shadow and hearing it talk, so we technically do know more about you than most people. Yeah, I'll need to look more into how single parents are treated in Japan, because I've mentioned this before, but I've heard some people say that it is actually quite progressive how Wakaba Ishiki was treated with Futaba by the game's story. So, for some reason, I always used to think that this was Hifumi's mother's shadow, but yeah, she's very, very heavy on physical attacks, and she can actually be very, very dangerous if you're not careful. So, we're going to be setting up the Marakakaja here. Oh, also, nice one, Tactical Spirit. It is, as I've said before, a 66% chance of activating, and yep, there's one-shot kill.
Bro's got some moves.
Gotta watch out for that, because that has a high critical rate, as I've mentioned before. I wonder if I could potentially freeze you. I beg your pardon? Summoning a frozen tree on me and then shattering it? You know what, Akechi, you be the patsy for this.
Nothing but trash.
Okay, good. The SMT wiki was not wrong about this.
Amazing, Panther.
In that case, I should be charging Joker because I probably can get some good baton pass hits in here. I do, yeah, have Deadly Fury on Kormokuten. Still not a massive amount of damage. And let's go for... I'm glad that I'm finally getting to show off Concentrate Makoto. I feel like I didn't really do that enough before. Well, you didn't get crit, and that's the main thing that I wanted out of you there, Akechi. And like I said, gonna go ahead and charge. Now, a really weird thing is that I was just thinking, I was looking at my, he'll probably die from one more hit, though, unfortunately. Yeah. But I was looking at my, like, my buffs on the party, and I only saw one arrow, and I was like, huh, I can buff further than that, can't I? But then I was like, no, this is not mainline SMT. Actually, Mataru Unda on you might not be a terrible idea either. Because, yeah, she does have a lot of health, even with big weakness hits on her. She still takes quite a bit of a beating. Gonna have to bounce back and forth between these two personas here. Yeah, the extra damage from that 2.5 times multiplier really, really adds up. 2.5 times is huge, especially if you're factoring in other buffs as well. Speaking of which, yeah, there she goes, charging up again. Although, I actually do have this.
Ooh, Joker, you're looking cool.
And let's see if this finishes it.
Beat him up.
See, I think oh, no, it did not finish it. Okay, then. And she's charged. I don't want her to go for a multi-target attack, but... You know what, let's Korga off. Actually, no, I should have... Oh, but that did it anyway. She must have had barely any HP left. But yeah, Almighty would have probably been better there. I also need to remember to actually show off the normal battle theme for these outfits. I have not done this yet.
I will contribute even more.
Well, yeah, sadly this is kind of one of Akechi's biggest contributions that he ever does. And yeah, I said before that I usually tend to drop the... You know what? I'm not really likely to be seeing a lot of, like, ailments from here on out. So I can drop that. Well, yeah, exactly what I was thinking. You still have Shinya. You don't want him to go down this path too. In other words, she was saying, okay, I'll stop being a Karen. And that should be everything, but I still want to keep going until we reach the end of this area. Oh yeah, Makoto can definitely keep at it. So, one separate tangent that I can go on that I kind of promised at the start of this video is about how I personally headcanon Joker. I've alluded to Batman a few times during this playthrough.
This is what I saw.
Yeah, this must be pretty hard for Morgana running around.
I have a bad feeling about that one.
Persona! Hold on.
Less skills will work here. The enemy is weak, but don't relax yet.
So this isn't technically a battle theme, it's actually like cutscene music from Persona 4 Arena, but this is one of my favorite songs in all of Arena, so I'm really glad that it's the battle theme for these outfits.
Someone take over.
What's my next move? Psychokinetic should help here. It won't be a problem. This'll do. Panther knocked one down. Looking good.
Allow me.
On to the next.
My skills exceed yours. Now, Robin. One death.
One enemy
That leaves
taken
two.
out. Good one, Crow.
Persona! Robin Hood!
So pretty. Now, let's continue. It's so much damage. My Persona learned a new skill.
So for full healing, I'm going to have to give up. See, this is where Concentrate becomes a problem, because it's taking up a skill slot that I'd otherwise use for DRR. Actually, though, I haven't used Energy Shower for a really long time, and I kind of doubt I will, because I have status curing items, so I'll take Dirahan over that.
They didn't stand a chance.
But yeah,
Or
the thing in
now,
particular
go find a
that
strong enemy.
that I feel when it comes to Batman that is also how I view Joker, that was a bit of a weird mouthful, but I got there eventually, is the idea that Bruce Wayne is the mask and Batman is his real self. That is very much how I headcanon Joker. And it's kind of, it has precedence in the game because it's mentioned that he wears glasses because that the glasses are actually fake and he just wears them just to fit in. And also the achievement or trophy for getting a perfect score in the exams is Mask of an Honor Student in the original version and a Most Studious Disguise in the Royal translation. And both of them allude to the fact that it's Joker's school persona. That is his actual disguise. And that it's how he is in the metaverse, this kind of more flashy, rebellious self that he puts on here. That's who he really is. There's a quote that I haven't actually seen many of the animated Batman series, but there's a quote that I found from one of them that I think is actually perfect for how I headcanon Joker. And that is, there's like an episode where a villain is trying to brainwash Bruce Wayne, and he figures it out because, as he describes someone else, the voice in my head called me Bruce. In my head, that's not what I call myself. So yeah, at this point I feel like he's starting to see Joker as who he really is, and Ren Amamiya as somebody who kind of doesn't really exist. It's just his civilian identity and the mask that he puts on so that he conforms to society's expectations. But okay, I'm going to go ahead and spend my flowers. I'm also going to go for the rest of the stamps off camera, because that's not going to be interesting to watch. Alright, I forgot to show the weird ramp. Null Fear. That's kind of okay. Still not the best, though. Oh, hey, nobody has the Gambler shirt. I guess, Ryuji could take that. Also, +5 luck. I mean, he kind of needs it.
What do you want to do?
Okay, now let's get out of here. I've already bought enough things from Jose. Okay, we've got Futaba and Haru in this one. Let's play.
How charming. Shall we? So, I'll play first, if I must. Well, there it goes. Here, a pair.
I feel like Haru's the kind of person who would just seem so sweet all the time, and then she'd just, like, suddenly go berserk and obliterate everyone at this game.
I'll play this. How do you like this?
Ah, I was hoping that I'd be able to play my queens and kings.
I got nothing. I need a decisive win. Pass. I can't play. Perhaps this? I have been waiting for this. Okay, I'll go with this. Pass. Can you handle this? Nothing here. I'll pass.
Oh, went over to her, and that was her last card. Well, I was kind of right.
That wasn't bad.
And at least I wasn't lost. Sorry, Futaba.
Sure, that's not bad. I go first. You guys are gonna hate I'll pass for now.
Or am I?
Too high. Pass. Not just skip me.
I see.
Well, I gotta play this. Here I go. How do you like this? I'll pass. This should do it. I'll pass for now. Pass. Here, a pair. I think that's enough. Here, a pair.
Aha, I was hoping somebody would let me play my pair of 8s, although I've got other pairs too. But if I don't get rid of this now, I might not get another chance.
I see.
I'll pass. Pass. I'll pass for now.
There.
Pass. I'll pass. I'll pass for now.
If somebody has like a 2 or something, or a Joker.
Keep it up.
Well, somebody, so I had a 2 and a Joker.
My play. That's your plan?
And the 3 spades reversal.
2 at once. Nothing here.
Ah, I might be stuck in a situation where I've only got 2 cards left, but nobody's gonna let me play.
I'll pass. If I must. There's an order to this.
Okay.
Let's keep it up. Nothing here. I got nothing. Did I just win?
Ah.
No, just skip me. Time to get serious. I'll pass for now. You know what this game needs is a revolution.
Really?
Now?
I mean, that kind of benefits me because my card's kind of low.
Let's start here. Let's build this up.
So at least we're rich.
Can you top that? No way!
Oh, Futaba's getting owned so badly at this.
That's just unfair. That was a good one. Let's have fun.
Oh, I've got a potential revolution.
Lucky indeed. Okay, cut.
Oh, but there's the 8 stop.
Here's a pair. Play this card works.
Okay, you guys are on pairs. Ah, I can't do my revolution though if I get rid of my Joker now.
I know you've got schemes.
Yes, I do. I'm just figuring out which to use here.
Pass.
Okay, triple?
There.
I'll pass. I can't play. I'll pass for now.
Triple again.
see.
Nope!
Pass.
Misclicked.
Just skip me.
Well, at least I can do this.
My turn again.
Low numbers, okay?
I see.
Skip me. I'll play this. How do you like this?
Oh, that could cost me that those pair, letting them get those pairs in. Don't play a pair.
Pass. Yes, this one. How do you like this?
I might have screwed myself over with that
I'll
misclick.
pass.
Don't play a pair,
Let's try
please.
this.
Thank you.
Wow, you're good.
Down to last, is it?
So, how is this gonna work? She won
Shall I
two
give
of
you
them.
this pair? Your turn. Okay, next. What a relief.
And yes, Futaba does say, shall I give you this pair when she plays a pair sometimes, which is a Sephiroth reference. And oh, poor Futaba, she got last every time. Oh, hey, we tied. Not bad.
I won't lose next time.
So it doesn't look like you can even play with Akechi here. So for now, that'll do it for this one. And I'll see you all next time we go back into daily life.